So we're here today, Brandix Reviews, to talk about the latest with the Gina Carano situation, and I'm joined by the core.
Yes. I think pretty sure people already knew that, thanks to the Tofu joke.
Yeah. So yeah, basically, it's the first video we've done this year, really, on the channel. So we'll start as we mean to go on, I guess. So the Gina Carano situation, obviously, we're not going to go over exactly what happened because it went on for years. There's quite a lot of detail there, but in a nutshell, if you're not familiar with it, she was somebody that was getting bullied by an activist crowd on Twitter, as you can imagine. I use Twitter myself.
She's arguably a bit right-wing, but that's just the thing. There's nothing actually wrong with that. Like, it's not like the sin it's made out to be.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. I mean, she was getting attacked by far leftists. She's not far right. She's just quite conservative-leaning. She's got a lot of other things that aren't necessarily inherently conservative, but seem to be attached to that, given that we've got like an Overton window shift. But she was being, anyway, that's another subject, but she was getting attacked online relentlessly for a long time, getting bullied by them. But she's somebody that's not just an actress, she's also got quite a fighting spirit. She was an MMA fighter, is that correct?
Yes.
So she was kind of, I wouldn't even say giving as good as she got, really. She got a lot worse than she gave, but she was sometimes putting things out there that weren't worded brilliantly, because although you can see where she was coming from, you can even agree with her, you can sort of see how she opened herself up to attack and the manipulation of what she was saying, twisting her words, that kind of thing, and twisting the intent behind it. For example, she made a point about how during the early era of the Second World War, it wasn't German troops on the streets that were attacking the average person. It was the average person's family and friends and neighbours that were attacking them. And it started that way. And somehow that was twisted into she's anti-Semitic. I don't know how you get that from that, but go back and look at what she posted. You'll see for yourself. You'll probably be equally confused. So that was
things like a lot of this stuff is forever. It like exists. You can see it. It's like the J.K. Rowling thing. It's like, okay, don't really agree with this person, but if you actually look at what she said, like, well, hang on a minute. Where is she like crying for like the death of all like trans people and all this other stuff she's like getting accused of? It's like, well, she hasn't actually said that though, has she? Like, if we actually look at what she's fucking said.
It's very similar. I mean, you could say people that, I mean, it was a big thing in the 90s. A lot of people were claiming they'd been abducted by aliens. And, of course, people call them lunatics and so on. But not even going that far, most people, 99% of people, would probably just say, I think you're being deluded. That would be, if they were asked, they would say, I think somebody who's claiming they've been abducted by aliens is deluded. The alien abductee people that were claiming that's what they were didn't say, you're trying to erase me, you're leveling an eradication of alien abductees, you're trying to carry out genocide on people that have been abducted by aliens. That they never went that far. They were never that crazy. But these activists they're saying that anyone who questions gender ideology is leveling some kind of genocide against trans people, which of course is not true. That was the crowd of people who are going after Gina Carano, and of course a lot of these people have got influence in the establishment, whether it's the media or whatever. We're talking about the media here because it's Disney and Lucasfilm. So,
like I say, it was worse than that, because there's even been like stuff alleged that, like, there were people inside Disney that were kind of like in on this whole like, like campaign against her, like, starting to go fund me to, against her and stuff. And it's like, that's a bit fucked in the head. Like when you When you look at it,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, hang on a minute, what the fuck?
Yeah, we'll definitely come back to that. But what happened is she got fired very publicly by Lucasfilm and Disney, and it wasn't just they said, right, we're not working with her anymore. They said that what she
They
said
announced it
is,
on fucking Twitter, right? It was Twitter
yeah,
at the point, and didn't even fucking tell her. She found out initially via Twitter, like everybody else. It's like, that's a shitty way of doing things. Like, regardless of how you feel about her, even if it
yeah.
was somebody I absolutely despised and like think it kind of shitty people, they don't deserve to be told like that.
It's all too common nowadays, but that just kind of is the icing on the cake, really, isn't it? But obviously, they said some very harsh things about her as well that not even subjectively but objectively weren't true. They need to show receipts if they're going to make those kind of claims, because it's not just that they fired her; it's destroyed her reputation, her ability to get another job and grow her career outside of other projects that she's kind of worked on, such as Terror on the
Had to
Prairie,
go work for like
Daily Wire.
yeah. Well, that's the only way she was getting any fucking job, because Disney blacklisted her. It's
Yeah,
not
pretty
like, yeah, you
well.
don't like it and you've sacked her. Like, no, you've actively gone out of your way to make sure she's fucking done.
Yeah.
And it's
Well,
like,
she
okay,
done.
well, what did she do to deserve that exactly?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So she did Terror on the Prairie, which is a western that was done with the Daily Wire. She also had a bit part in something. I'll just grab it right quick. My Son Hunter, which was a pretty good one as well. Well, it was directed by Robert Darby, the actor, and it's about Hunter Biden. It's a bit low budget and so on, but I quite enjoyed it anyway. But anyway, point is, so yeah, she got fired, she got defamed. Elon Musk obviously has taken over Twitter in recent years, and he did say a while ago that if anybody has had their, had been fired or whatever as a result of things posted on Twitter, there's going to be an effort to try to give people legal support. He didn't quite elaborate on specifically how that works, is because there's going to be a long list of people there. They're going to pay for all that. I think they were just doing case by case, to be honest. And Gina Carano is one of the more prominent ones to have this happen to her. So they announced a week or two, I think it was about a week ago, that they're going ahead. They're going to sue Disney, I think, for defamation. Is it specifically?
That and sexual discrimination, because they were pointing out, like, all right, so what she was saying was like right leaning, but you had people like saying left leaning stuff that is just as like extreme, if not more so, like her male like co-stars and stuff.
Pedro
And it's
Pascal.
like, yeah, and it's like, well, hang on, nothing happened to them like at all. So like, why is that fair that like the woman's been targeted and the guys have just been left alone, like basically playing their game at that point?
Yeah, because the Pedro Pascal post was actually objectively worse, objectively. And I say that because the information that was contained in the things he was putting out was actually provably false. Her thing was provably correct when she said about neighbours turning on and family and friends turning on people back in the 30s in Germany. What he posted was about children in cages, and the photograph was actually not of what he claimed it to be. It was from years before, during the Obama administration, not under Trump. So he posted not just something unsavory, but also incorrect. And he, as far as I'm aware, was in the future. He's been fired by Disney Lucasfilm, basically. So yeah.
I mean, like, to put it like in perspective, like, yeah, he probably fucked up. You know, you just saw someone's like, oh, this pisses me off. I'm gonna post about it.
Yeah.
It's like, that's fine. He hasn't done anything wrong there particularly. But at the
Yeah.
same thing, like, if you're gonna say like, oh no, he's fine because he's done that, because we agree with what he's pushing.
Yeah.
It's like, well, no, now you are applying a double standard. It's all right because he's got your politics. Like, no, now you are actively discriminating against somebody.
Yeah. And of course, that's like you say, he shouldn't be fired or anything for what he put. But if she gets fired for what she did, then by that same standard, that same method in the madness, so should he.
Like I say, at that point, you've like demonstrably got, because like a couple of guys like Lucasfilm have done similar things. And it's like, okay, if it's all right for them to do it, why was it not all right for her to do it?
Yeah. So adjusting the camera, bear with me. No, that's correct. So you mentioned before the campaign to go after Gina Carano being spearheaded. Well, maybe not quite the head of the spear, but it's up there. You're referring to Leslie Headland, is that right?
Yeah, well, apparently, I mean, from what's been said, and like until this actually starts coming out in court, we don't know the full details. But yeah, she was apparently one of the people who was like contributing to this GoFundMe and all this, and it's like that's not fucking good.
Yeah, that's a conflict of interest, is that as well? Very shady all this as well, because Leslie Headland got hired a few years ago to be in charge of some future Star Wars project. I can't remember
Yeah,
whether
the
it was.
Acolyte, which is apparently finally coming out, allegedly.
Yeah,
There was a lot of weirdness with it, like people saying, like, yeah, look, they took me, I moved house, like I moved countries and stuff to work on this thing. And then, like, within weeks, like, in breach of contract, they're just like, yeah, no, you're not on it anymore. And it's like to the point of like people like, okay, is this actually a real project or is this just blowing smoke up people's asses? Like, does this project actually exist? Because if it
yeah,
exists, why the fuck did you hire this person, then immediately fire them like a week later with like no explanation? And like, why are you offering them such like a pathetically small settlement, given like you would promise them like a show leading like role? Like, what the fuck?
yeah. Because I think what Disney and Lucasfilm tend to be doing, my theory is that they tend to make announcements that they have no intention of following through on, where they're just trying to drum up financial support for investors or from investors. So it makes it sound like they've got a good future ahead of them that's going to be lucrative.
That's
Obviously, if the
literally what
studio's
they've
not.
done with this like earnings call they've done recently. It's like they're announcing all this stuff, and it's like, well, most of it's going to be shit though, and it's not
If
going to
it
like
gets
bring
made.
fans back. It's going to lose them more fans because people are getting sick and fed up with this crap.
Yeah, if it even gets made at all. So this Leslie Headland, she was Harvey Weinstein's personal assistant or something.
Yeah, I mean,
So
you fucking know if she was a guy, she would not be working fucking anywhere ever again.
yeah, that's shady as hell, is that? Because we know how it works. Somebody who was a personal assistant would, yeah, given everything that happened, not just know about it, but be involved, possibly. Not saying that's
Yeah, it was
definitely
even
the case,
shadier
but
because she was basically, like, according to some sources, like things I've heard on like Midnight's Edge and stuff. She was basically hired on during like a massive hiring freeze where they weren't like bringing new people in. But suddenly, somehow, yep, Leslie Headland's hired and she's running the Acolyte. It's like, okay, who's fucking back did she fucking stroke? They
yeah,
weren't
she
hiring
knows.
anybody, but suddenly, like, bang, she's in. It's
Yeah,
like,
she knows where some bodies are buried. Yeah. So anyway, point is, she was in charge of some GoFundMe to get rid of Gina Carano, like behind the scenes. Is that
I don't know if she was in charge of it
or involved?
necessarily, but she was like definitely like one of the people who had contributed to it.
Yeah. So that's not good. That shows definite agenda behind things. They were desperate to get rid of Gina Carano.
For the sound of it,
So
it started out as like a general like humiliation thing. So they're even trying to get her to like contribute to the GoFundMe against her. It was like, why the fuck would she ever do that? You fucking psychopaths! Like, what the fuck?
yeah, they
Like,
did all
all these
sorts of things
struggle
to her.
sessions and like bend the knee, and it's like, well, strangely enough, she's not going to.
Yeah, they tried all sorts of things with her to try to just destroy her, just morale and all that kind of stuff. But point is, anyway, on a positive note, this lawsuit, it's not about the money, it's not about getting money out of Disney, it's about the process being the punishment. I've known people that have been falsely accused of things where they work, of things like racism, sexism, that kind of thing, falsely, and there was never any merit to it. It was never going to get anywhere. But the process of being put under investigation and dragging it out just destroyed the people that I know of. and then ended up just quitting the job. And they ended up having to go through a nervous breakdown, basically, because these just demonic, woke people that have just got this real hateful agenda against certain people because of the way they were born or whatever. So in reverse, this is going to work against Disney because they're going to be put under investigation. Hopefully, I mean, I say hopefully, I don't think they have any intention of settling, as in Gina and Elon Musk. I don't think they want to settle out of court. I think they want to drag this out and show the receipts, because we've got that process called discovery, which is what happens when something like this happens, where documents have to be shown. Behind the scenes information has to come to light, and we will see who was doing what behind the scenes when all this was happening in 2020 and early into 2021. I think it goes back even further than that, to be honest. But we'll see what was going on with this campaign of hate against Gina Carano within Disney, within its activist circles that have infiltrated and taken over the company from within, which, of course, we've seen the end result of that in the actual products that they put out. These movies, these absolute garbage movies that don't seem to even come close to breaking even. Because they're just full of
the message.
Literally got situations where you've got people like employed by Lucasfilm actively going up against fans, like insulting and like jeering at them. And we're not talking like, they've gone up against this person because they've got really hateful reviews and they've been saying like horrible things. Like, no, literally as simple as somebody got like being really emotional when they brought back Luke Skywalker, because it was like, something that meant something to him. And then you've got some motherfucker like taking the piss out of him. And like being like, to the point of it was actually like a big deal at the time. Like people like, what the fuck?
Oh yeah, I think I heard about. I mean, I've not watched.
It's like that motherfucker. I'm pretty sure he's still got a goddamn job there. It's like that to your consumers. Like, it's not even like you can point to this person and say, "Oh, he had a very radical agenda and he was saying hateful things." Like, no, he was just like really happy you brought back Luke Skywalker.
So yeah, basically we've got this very interesting journey ahead of us now. So we'll see if we can obviously follow this as it comes out, and we might report back on it and so on, because there's certainly going to be some interesting information coming out. Some of the good channels on YouTube that have been covering this, obviously you've got things like Geeks and Gamers and Arcade Outpost, Midnight's Edge, WDW Pro, Mr. H Reviews. Any other good ones that have been worth watching on this?
I mean, those are the main ones that I can think of.
Yeah, some pretty decent ones. Obviously, these are channels that kind of make a living bashing these studios, which you might think is a bit of a problem, but it wouldn't be a problem if there wasn't a problem with the studios. It's pretty sad that we find more entertainment watching these channels than we do these big budget movies that we once loved, because that's just the way it's gone, unfortunately. So anything else to add to that?
No, nothing immediately comes to mind, but yeah, again, this is like a self-inflicted fucking wound by Bob Iger's like dumbassery. It's like, yeah, you don't like Elon Musk, fine, but maybe don't get into a slap match like somebody as rich as he is, because he is like got a post to slap you back, you dumbass. It's kind of like, exactly. I'm going to start a fight with the Florida government. Like, that's not going to end well for you, you prick.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, the good news is as well, these studios, they are terrified of people just mass rejecting their products. We saw a lot of the things with like the Bud Light effect last year and all this kind of thing.
It's just this
we need to just keep doing it.
We've got nowadays where it's like, look, your product's shit, do better. Oh, well, you're obviously a bigot and a hypocrite and a monster for saying that. Like, hang on a minute. Why is it now wrong for like your consumer to tell you you're doing shit, do better? Like, why is that suddenly wrong? It's like going into a restaurant and like, yeah, this food's shit and it's cold and it's not what I ordered. Oh, well, you're the problem, not us. Maybe give me the fucking food I ordered, bitch. Like, what the fuck?
I'd like to see that exchange go down in real life. It's funny. So yeah, we'll leave it there anyway because it's dragged on a bit. So we got one last thing. Obviously, today as we're recording, this is February 12th. It's that time of the year. This is the only reason we even did this video. To be fair, just an excuse to run this portion of the video. For Paul and Lucy Cage, but also the Buff. Here's a return of the birthday pants.
Right, please tell me you've washed them this time.
Hang on, let me just. Oh no, Topher's no, they're clean. Topher had them and he's cleaned them. They smell of bleach. So yeah, that's good. So yeah, happy birthday to Paul, Lucy, and also the Buff. We do this every year almost.
Yes, silly old Buff.
The birthday pants. So yeah, well, we'll leave it there. I'm planning to do some more videos, just ain't got right doing it. But one last thing we'll say about this as well. I think it was the Dave Cullen show was making a point about just walk away, because I was going to do a series of videos about this. I still might do it actually, where we can just talk about different franchises and just leave them. You know, just stop going back like an abused partner. It's not going to change. It's not going to get better anytime soon unless you've got like a massive cultural paradigm shift, which I don't see coming.
Well, certainly not if like Trump actually gets in again. We're going to have Trump derangement syndrome for another fuck knows how many years.
Yeah, but even without him, you still have it, and that's not saying we're against him or we support him either way. It's just obviously things would ramp up if they did.
Yeah, because then you get like fucking twats in Hollywood like, oh, I've got to like save the world and educate those poor, dumb, uneducated people that voted for him. Oh, it's like you don't think that your attitude you're pulling right now is the reason people are voting for this motherfucker? It's like, possibly.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll leave there anyway. So we'll see if we can cover this as things develop. So yeah, we'll leave there. Thank you very much for watching.
The two.
Yeah, lesser known fact, the Chinese actually made a movie based on the Topher and Buff encounter. Yeah, we'll see how close to the source material though. Oh, yep, there it was, yeah. We know which one got to play the Buff anyway.